You ready? You're listening to the Real Pineapple Podcast Network. Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, ladies, and gays. This is the Real Pineapple. This is your humble host, Hunter here. I hope you're safe. I hope you're well. I've got a review for this new indie film, Heightened, which is written and directed and stars, Sara Friedman, who you know from being a producer on Love Danielle, as well as her film Stoker Kills back in 2020. So the film in question, Friedman goes ahead and stars as Nora, who is going ahead and taking the bar exam. And I gotta say, between stuff like this and Ted Lasso and Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, I appreciate that media is actually depicting how a panic attack feels in real time. As someone who's had a panic attack or two in my day, Friedman absolutely nails that. So just from jump, I was like, okay, I have a good feeling about this. But the way she does it too, she just is looking at her paper and like things start shaking. She starts hearing like everyone like crunching, having chips, and people outside, and she's just aware of every single fucking noise. And she just gets up super calmly, walks over to the wall, and pulls the fire alarm. And I just went, girl, I get it. Like, I get that so much. I always feel like that when I take tests. So she goes ahead and she has this mental breakdown, and she ends up going back. She ends up going back home to her mom and dad. Susan, played by Sara Clark, who you know from being Bella's mom in the Twilight films. You know her, of course, is Nina Myers from 24 as well, and then her dad Dusty, who's that's the partner. I don't have the dad here. I'll get that in a second. But what I really do love about Susan is she is church woman. She's church woman in the sense of the way she just kind of would wear you down with these backhanded compliments. You know what I mean? Have you ever done like PTA or something like that, and you're not getting along with someone, they just be like, oh, they'll give you some backhanded compliment, like, oh, it's so cool that you came out dressed like that. And and the way that she just wears Nora down. And that's honestly where, from this alone, I went, man, I'm kind of team Nora here. Like, Nora's a fucking brat. Do not misunderstand. She's an absolute smartass. I also relate to Nora in that way. But Nora is... She's clearly going through so much shit, and she really is just trying to navigate and just kind of survive, honestly. And what's so frustrating about her mom is that her mom really isn't giving her any slack. She really is treating the mental breakdown like she fell and scraped her knee. And from that perspective, I'm just like, Nora, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry you have to deal with this. And yeah, her dad's name is Gordon. I was right. Gordon, played by as Xander Berkeley. So I really appreciate the relationship she has with her dad, because her dad is definitely a little more carefree. Likes a good drink, but you can tell that Susan has just kind of worn him down, and he's just kind of in that state of whatever. Like, you know what, honey, as long as you're happy, I'm happy. I'm just gonna have a drink and just do your thing, basically. You can tell that he's just kind of comfortable with the amount of chaos that Susan brings to the table at this point. But since Nora isn't around it, it's way more shocking to her system. But I really like the way that the film explores the relationship between Nora and her parents, because, Susan has worn her down, but Susan has her own shit going on that we learn more about as the film goes on. And then her dad, the way that he talks to Nora, he talks to her in a stern way, but it's coming from a place of love, so Nora does listen. He isn't just kicking her while she's down. It's a very fine line, I think, that Gordon writes, and Friedman does an incredible job writing both of the parents. Even if you don't agree with how they're treating Nora, you at least understand why they're treating Nora the way they are. One thing that I do not appreciate about Nora in this film is the way she treats Dusty, who's played by Dave Register, who you know from Fallout, which I still need to watch Fallout. He plays Chet on there, but Dusty's awesome. Dusty is great. Dusty is that sort of guy you would you sit that he would be at the bar or at a restaurant and you would end up having a more than pleasant conversation than you would think. Dusty's just a good dude. He just wants to go ahead and he wants people to be comfortable around him. He's a less intense Ron Swanson. Like, he just seems like a good person, you know. And what I really appreciate about Dusty is that Nora is just really kind of combative from jump, because Dusty's trying to be nice to her, and Nora's like, well, fuck that, can't have that. And just kind of starts busting his chops immediately. But Dusty, like, he's just a good person. So he goes, you know, all right, sometimes people are crappy, but that's not going to change how I treat people. Which is really nice and inspired in that way. It's actually nice to see someone optimistic, but in a not ignorant way. I really like Dusty in here, and I really like the journey that he goes on. The fact that he finds out really that he's having panic attacks as well. As Nora learns to heal herself, Dusty's able to go ahead and have some conversations with himself and become a better version of himself. His journey really mirrors Nora's in very interesting ways, and deviates in very interesting ways. And the way that he allows Nora to go ahead and he teaches her to be more disciplined and be able to go ahead and accept the fact that it's okay to change. It's you're not selling yourself out by no longer being stagnant. I think that's a very important thing that Nora learns in the way that she's able to evolve. Nora ends up having court-appointed counseling, and her counselor, Dr. Jha, played by Dipti Mehta, she almost steals the movie. She's fantastic. You know her from Midnight Delight and Accommodations, but the back and forth between Nora and Dr. Jha, it's very witty. It's very banterish in that way, but Nora, because she is so intelligent, and that's something I really like that the film does show, that even while she's being a little shit sometimes, you understand that part of it is coming from a place because Nora is so intelligent. So it's a very interesting dynamic that she has with Dr. Jha, because Dr. Jha is able to match her intellectually. And so Nora, even while she's being a little shit, does have to kind of acknowledge that, okay, maybe this woman actually knows what she's talking about. So that's a very interesting conversation about how Nora kind of deals with power dynamics and how she does look down on people that she perceives as not as intelligent as her, and kind of dealing with that snobbish part of her nature. It's very interesting. I think the thing that's going to surprise people the most is that the conversations, and this is something that always bothers me in film, is when it feels like characters aren't written correctly, or like people are using like awkward slang or something like that, where the characters don't feel authentic. Every character in here feels like it was written from a place of truly understanding what they wanted this character to be and what they wanted their arc to be. And y'all have heard me rant about how I'm always like, oh god, someone's directing, producing, writing, and starring. Like, the more hats you're wearing, the more I get worried that one of those things is gonna falter because you're doing so much. And no, Friedman nails it from every perspective. The writing is fantastic. The directing, there's a scene of Nora and Dusty that they have on the beach, and that's one of my favorite. That's actually one of my favorite scenes all year. It's a really emotional scene, and Nora just kind of snaps, and and what gets her to snap is so fascinating, and the consequences of that with the conversation she ends up having with Dr. Jha about what happens. It's very interesting. The relationships are very well handled. there's a lot of plates. That was also my other concern. Is I was like, okay, there's a lot of relationships kind of being explored here, and yet each one for me comes to a very satisfying conclusion. There's a subplot with Mike Mitchell, who plays Mitch, who is Dusty and Nora's boss. You know him from playing Randy Monahan from the Netflix series Love, and then Cohen in the Tomorrow War. Oh yeah, he's doing Twisted Metal. That's right. What am I thinking? But his arc is very interesting. It's so shitty. It's so shitty because what you find out about him, you're like, oh, dude, get over yourself. It's, but it's one of those things that once you find out what's going on with him and why he gives Dusty so much shit, it's such a, it's such a small town thing, and you'll know what I mean once you understand what's going on with him. But I really like where this film ends up. I've really enjoyed the journey that Nora went on, and it's so cool to see these female directors and actresses really killing it indie film wise. I hope Friedman gets to do more stuff. I'm a fan of hers, so she's someone to definitely watch. I've really enjoyed this. Like, actually watched this when I initially got the screener, so I watched it the same day of, and then I watched it the day before I conducted this interview with Sara. But yeah, this was fucking fun. I really enjoyed this. This is a solid B plus for me. So yeah, this is actually available on VOD now. I would highly recommend y'all check this out. But yeah, B plus for me for Heightened. I'm really excited to see what Sara Friedman does next. But Heightened, have y'all seen it? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments. You can go ahead and find the show on YouTube at The Real Pineapple. That's REEL Pineapple. You can go ahead and follow the podcast pretty much wherever you listen to them. SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, TuneUp, and Samsung Podcasts, to name a few, at The Real Pineapple. You can follow me on Blue Sky at realpineapple.bsky.social. You can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and the Twitter at jhunterrealpineapple. That's jhunter, and then REEL, and then pineapple. And follow me on Letterboxd at Black Shazam. And follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/TheRealPineapple. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. We'll have more reviews coming down the pipeline soon. But everyone, stay safe out there. Give someone a hug. Give someone a compliment. We got all you some more positivity out there. And then never forget, as always, to keep it real.